And go live. Hello, welcome to Tech Tuesday. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. I have a wonderful guest I'm going to introduce to you in just a minute. But first, I'm going to go ahead and queue up our new Tech Tuesday. Okay, so that was the new intro. It's very, very fun to see yourself in an animated form. And today I want to go ahead and introduce my guest, Teddy. He is the sales and marketing director. Did I say that right? Director?
Yep. Yeah, VP of sales and marketing.
All right, there you go. Give yourself a promotion. I like that. VP of sales and marketing for WelcomeHome. Welcome to Tech Tuesday, Teddy.
Thank you, Abby. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, I know firsthand, and I want to give you a little bit of a background or into my experience of how challenging it is for senior living operators. Now, there's a community here in Phoenix. I'm not going to say the name because I work with so many, but let me just tell you, I happen to think this is the very best community in the world. So, and I love working with this community. And when the pandemic started, I had a firsthand look at how intense it was to be a senior living operator with the regular Zoom meetings to your community, with the guidelines and the COVID count, and how much the staff and the administration had to change their entire jobs in order to continue to provide security and safety to their residents. And I just have been in awe of what these operators have had to do. It's like they've completely revamped and re-envisioned their work so they can continue to provide amazing and excellent services to their residents. So I know that when you all say like senior living, like, your job shouldn't be more challenging. We want to make it easier, right? Absolutely. So tell me about that, how you do that with WelcomeHome.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I think you're absolutely right. It's one of the toughest jobs out there. It's hospitality, healthcare, real estate, like all combined. It's three industries that are very tough. And so what WelcomeHome does is we're a CRM built purposely for senior living, because the sales and marketing job at a senior living community is one of the toughest sales jobs that you could ever do. And, one of the things when we were founded by John Larisha, who is a consultant for one of the top consulting firms in the world and had experience inside and senior living and outside, basically saw that the tech tools that were being utilized in other industries were far more helpful for selling products that were much less, complex and emotionally fraught, and then, became empowered to help the people you fell in love with, the senior living sales and marketers. So we built a CRM that actually helps them save time in their day, be more efficient, more productive. So at the end of the day, they can do what they love, which is actually connecting with seniors and helping them, as opposed to, fighting technology just to get that investor, that report that they so desperately need. So it's been humbling. We've grown by a ton since we first started, but our goal is simple. We want to make their lives as easy as possible and give them a little better quality of life.
And so tell me about some of those tasks. I know as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, you just end up doing things all the time that you don't feel like doing. But there's things you just got to keep doing in order to, keep the business afloat. And it's those little things that really add up and like really, carve into the time of your work and of your life, doing things that you are would prefer to do. So tell me about some of those things. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, what a senior living sales professional has to do, right? It's lots of phone calls, it's text messages, it's emails, it's in-person tours, it's home visits to a prospective family member's house. It is business development meetings with, professional referral partners to ask if you have any potential, seniors that want to move into our community. And then even that, it is helping around the community, being a team player, in any way they can, whether with resident care or with dining. They just wear so many hats. And so when you think about what they also have to do, which is report everything that they're doing to their bosses, and then their bosses to their investors, that is a lot of things that have to get captured in a tool. And previously, what they were doing is they were going about their day, they were doing everything. And at the end of the day, if they were even getting to this, they were then logging, I did all of these activities, so that their folks that are in charge could see everything they've done. And so what we focused on is, well, the system should just know you're doing it as you're doing it and auto log it for you, and then save you all that time, as well as enable you to look back on the things that you've done and better prepare for those next conversations, so you can have a deeper connection with that person. And so we do that through automatic texting, call recording, emailing, integrated with Zoom, as well as voice to text with a fully functional mobile app, so you can do this all from anywhere, to really just focus in on what we can do to make their life easier.
Yeah, out of all those features, and they sound wonderful, what are some of the top features that people will say to you, goodness, I don't know how I ever lived without this, or this has saved my life? What are some of those features?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's actually the ease of use of the system, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, we're here talking about tech, and tech is fantastic, but if you don't know how to use tech, it's worthless. And so we made the system super easy to use, which is great. But then it's the automatic logging of activities, right? I have so much time back in my day because it's auto logging this. And what that is doing specifically at the regional and the VP and the ownership level is enabling real-time automatic reports, because there's regionals and owners that are spending every single Thursday or all day Friday every week, and all they're doing is consolidating data and doing reports. And we've made it so, hey, that report can automatically be emailed and it's updated real time. So I think those are some of the big things, trying to make everybody's life easier at the user level, the regional level, the VP level, even that C-suite, and then even up and beyond the investor level, so that everybody gets what they need. And ultimately, you don't have to hound your frontline worker to tell me all the things that you've already done, because you already know.
Yeah, I read somewhere on your website that the mobile app will allow you just to send reports in real time from your device. So you don't have to wait to get back in front of the computer to capture the data. You can just send it directly from the mobile app. Is that right?
Yeah. And I mean, a great example is when we were first getting started, one of the first communities that ever was using us, and we did a year-long discovery phase about how things were going to be built. One of the questions we asked is, if I was to ask you for a brochure, right, a community brochure or a floor plan document, how would you go about getting that to me? And the sales director was like, oh, it's easy, and they walked over to a filing cabinet, they grabbed a brochure, they scanned it, they emailed it to themselves. It was no longer in color. And then they emailed it to us, right? And so, or in some cases, I think they actually faxed it. But what that brings to life is, with a mobile app, if you're on a tour and someone needs access to a floor plan, you have the mobile app, which is connected to your email. There's a built-in knowledge center that houses all of that collateral. So you can easily just say, sure, I'll send it to you while we're standing right here. Email them that brochure, that floor plan, that whatever it might be, and then right then and there, they have access to that information that they can review while they continue the tour, walking around with you. I think it's, beforehand, you'd have to say, sure, I'll get that to you. You maybe try to remember it, hope you didn't forget about it. And then 2 hours later, when you've made it back to your desk, if you remembered, then you were, doing the process I previously said.
Yeah, I love that. That really encapsulates two of my personal principles. One is KISS, keep it simple, senior. Like, Keep it simple. Like when you're mentioning the technology, if it's not easy and if you can't just intuitively get on with it, then it's time to look at something else. So I love the fact that that's something that you're keeping in mind. And then the other thing is do it now, right? As a time management principle, it's do it now. And if you can't do it now, be able to schedule time to do it later. But the fact that you can do it now, it allows someone to just quickly and easily get the information out there and then not have to worry about what has to be done later.
Absolutely. I mean, those tasks pile up, and then all of a sudden, it's now Tuesday, and you got 100 past due activities, or outside, and you're overwhelmed, and you don't know where to begin. Right. The goal is to help you with your time management because you've got a lot on your plate, and in some cases, we even just do it for you. We have, like I said, it can automatically go ahead and email this out based on a trigger event. You don't have to worry about it. You just know it's going to do it for you.
So smart. I love it. So I'm curious, in the past 2 years, how has your technology adapted?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's an interesting one for us because we launched pre-pandemic, but honestly gained the majority of our clients during the pandemic. And one of the things in our first month that we launched, we made 300 changes, and got feedback from a handful of communities, made those changes, and we've continued to make changes every single month, and sometimes much faster than that. But thinking about, we were the newest to the space, and since we were bringing on the most of our clients during the pandemic, one of the things for us is we were already focused on virtual, on the new business norms of having to be able to communicate. So we launched a Zoom integration so that people could do virtual tours. Virtual tours, weren't really a thing before the pandemic as much, and so we enabled them to do all of that. And I think the core for us is we have two founders. One, like I mentioned, a longtime consultant who thrives off just helping businesses be better. And the other, who is at his core a developer who wants to build best-in-class products, who's inspired by innovation. So we have launched tons of things just in the past few months alone. We launched an events platform that allows everybody to automatically track their events, send out RSVPs that they can automatically track. We've launched new reports. We've launched all sorts of different stuff, and that's core to us, to where we continue to update this so that we can both focus on quality of effort as well as quantity of effort.
Yeah. So tell me, if you, what kind of technology are you thinking of incorporating in the future?
Yeah. So, I mean, we want to be the best at sales and marketing, right? So we're going to continue being that and essentially innovating in that space. I think where we see tech going is the increase of reliance on machine learning, right? And things of the whole goal of tech is so that you don't actually have to use it as much. It gives you more time to just be a human being and interact with people. So we have it with our virtual sales assistant that has automations that X trigger event happens and it automatically does something for you or prompts you to do something. But I think with the machine learning and with other aspects of growing on enabling time-saving efforts as well as occupancy driving efforts, that's where we're continue focus in the realm of sales and marketing on building towards.
And when you look at your CRM, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you have with adoption?
Yeah. So we have a phrase that adoption is our problem, not yours. I think there's two things there's two gaps in basically technology for the senior living industry. And one is oftentimes you want to create something that is super cool, but you forget that it needs to be the easiest thing to use. So we continue to focus on ease of use, but without sacrificing power, right? It can still be amazingly powerful, but simple to use. So we focus on that. And then the next is training. It's customer service. It's the human component to the usage of tech. And we have unlimited free training, and we have the best customer service, I think, of any industry. But we focus heavily on giving people the tools that they need to know how to use the product, and then not creating a barrier for them to be able to get their questions answered. They get live trainings with their customer success manager, walking through their questions and teaching them how to be better, or what are some best practices? What is a cool report maybe you haven't looked at yet? And so that has driven up adoption for us in, record high numbers. We have, everybody's using the system in under 30 days. So it's to its full extent. So it's something that has been great for us.
Well, I can tell you're really passionate about this, so I'd love to know a little bit more about your why you're doing what you're doing, and why are you in technology?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, my background is actually I started my career in the Navy,
Okay, yeah.
and so it's kind of apt for the current times. But one of my last tours, I was stationed in Europe for 3 years, and my job was to help our NATO allies and partners over there, exercise their capabilities and be prepared for anything that may happen. And what I saw is that every country and every organization, right, has good people that at the end of the day just want to be successful at their job and what they do. No one goes to work and is like, I want to do a really bad job today. But what I saw across everything was that the access to technology, new technology, good technology, mattered a ton for your capabilities and what you were able to provide. And I think, in the news today, right, we're even seeing countries coming to aid and sending good technology to help out, right? So I was inspired by the impact that technology could have on individuals to make them better and to make them more capable. And so when I got out of the Navy due to family reasons, I was like, all right, I'm going to pursue a career in tech. And then after a few years, I myself was a prospect for a family member for senior living. And I saw just how complicated my own family was making it for a senior living operator to move us in and make that happen. And I kind of as a sales professional myself, my kind of heart went out to what they were having to deal with, even with us. And at that same time, I was introduced to Welcome Home, and I was like, this is a no-brainer. I can learn more about the industry while I explore places for my family member, as well as I have a best-in-class product that I can get into the hands of the people that are really helping so many people in terms of solving those problems. So that is kind of my why. Is I believe that senior living operators are doing a lot of good and helping so many different people, and I want them to be able to do more of that and also maintain a good quality of life because I know that those can be long days, long hours, stressful, burnout, and as we know, turnover is an issue in the industry, and it's due to people being burnt out. So anything that we can do to help, we want to do.
That's so good. It's so good to hear what your journey has been like for you. I know when I'm on LinkedIn and I'm reading about people's stories, and when someone says something like, I'm doing this because of my dad, or I'm doing this because of my grandparents, or I experienced this firsthand when we were trying to move my grandparents, myself, into assisted living, and how they went from assisted to nursing and to hospice, and that whole journey there. And so I found so many people in this industry have a heart connection to what they're doing because of this. And they found ways to innovate, and they found ways to improve, bring their talents to create a better product. So I'd love to hear that. But tell me, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
That's a great question. I love my job first and foremost, since my bosses are watching. So I
Hi,
do
bosses.
I do love my job. I think my last job in the Navy that I kind of just mentioned to, I think there's a little nostalgia in the current times to having going to go back and have done that, but that personally wasn't sustainable long term. So if I had to pick just something that I've never done, I think I'd like to be maybe like a documentary explorer. I think it's you know a cruel joke that we only have one life to live. And I suppose if I was doing, different expeditions and documenting it, then I would at least get to pretend to live a bunch of different lives. So I think that's what I would do if in my fantasy land.
Love it. I love it. That's a fabulous answer. I love it. And so tell me, when you're looking at technology and you're using your devices and you're working on things, what's one thing that you wish you could say, gosh, that's so good. I wish I would have created that, or I wish I would have designed that. I know for me, okay, that there's several things, but here's one recently that's come into my sphere. So I've got two children, and they're early teens, tweens, early teens. They're both going to need braces very, very soon, right? Well, my daughter is the first one. And so they have revamped that whole process where they can send you a mold. You can take the mold, you mail it back in, but then you take a bunch of pictures of your teeth, and then they send you the Invisalign, the aligners.
Yeah,
And then I just think that's amazing that they've taken the visits out of the process, right?
absolutely.
So, I can go on and on about various technology that I think is brilliant, but tell me, what would be something that you rely on that you wish you would have invented?
Yeah, we're using it right now. It's video conferencing. An
Mhm.
app like Zoom. Um, Being that my friends and family are scattered across the world and the country and whatnot. It's been amazing to have video conferencing just to connect with people that otherwise it would take me months to, if not years, to eventually see. I rely on it heavily. All of my sales are done via Zoom, for the most part, right? I rely on it heavily. And as well as, when we did the Zoom integration for Welcome Home, for virtual tours and whatnot, it enabled people to connect in other ways. Let alone when we couldn't visit our loved ones in senior living communities. My family, my wife's family, we had an every Sunday Zoom with the family so that we could connect with our senior that was in a community. So I think that's great. And as a sales professional, I encourage all the senior living operators to use video conferencing when you can instead of calling, because face-to-face connections yield higher close rates and conversions. And if you can get someone on a video conference instead of just a normal phone call, it just gives you all the more opportunity to establish a deeper connection. And I think that's super powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Zoom, that one community I mentioned earlier, the great community here.
Yeah.
So they had been doing their community-wide meetings on Zoom for years prior to the pandemic. And I had students there that I used to teach in person that were then teaching me how to get onto Zoom 2 years ago, right? And they were the first community that said to me, you should be teaching, just teach on Zoom. And I thought, oh my gosh, it sounds like a hot mess, right? Just getting a whole group of older adults on Zoom to take a class. And, but what I did was I just got to know the technology inside and out so that I could help your grandma and your mom
Right.
and your folks get onto Zoom blind. Like, what I mean by that is that I could walk them through it in so many different ways. And yeah, it's really helped bring people together and allowed my students to engage and connect when they wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Absolutely. The connection is key, right? Being able to stay connected to your family members, despite regulations and things like that, is crucial. Social interaction is core to what everybody needs, and so I think it's super powerful. And what's interesting is pre-pandemic, I did video conferencing calls for sales and whatnot in general, but no one would turn their cameras on. Now, post pandemic, everybody has their cameras on. We're used to it. So, I encourage you, if you're a sales professional, you're not already trying to use video conferencing when you can't otherwise be in person, to turn your video on and connect with some people.
Yeah, that's so elemental. It really, really is. So I wanted to also ask you, where else do you anticipate this heading? Do you see Welcome Home entering into any other areas of senior living?
So, right now our job is just to continue to be the best at sales and marketing.
Mhm.
There are plenty of things to improve on and to create and to do just in that space alone. So I think that's where we're going to stay focused and keep that as our bread and butter because even on our development pipeline, right, we still have plenty of stuff that is just going to make people's lives better and so in the own realm that we are. So we're gonna stay to that right now and see that if we can't just continue making everyone's life easier and better.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewing audience or any questions that anyone would like to submit? I'm just trying to see if I can view any of those right now. If anyone else had any other questions, please go ahead and submit those. Otherwise, I want to thank you for joining me here today and for sharing with us what Welcome Home is doing, where you're headed, where you've come from, and just thank you for coming on today.
No, thank you so much. And then for everybody watching, you can reach us at welcomehomesoftware.com. You can talk to a live person and get a live demo and see everything that you want to see about the software. But we continue to grow and continue to have our customers sing our praises, which we're humbled by. So we'd love, if you haven't seen it, we'd love to show you how it can help you.
Okay, tell everyone one more time how they can reach you, please.
Sure. WelcomeHomeSoftware.com, or you can just email me directly if you want. I'll just go ahead and throw that out there. It's just Teddy at WelcomeHomeSoftware.com.
Wonderful. Thank you. And for those of you who are watching the replay, if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments or direct message me, and I'll be sure to get back to you. And I just want to wish you all a wonderful day, and I'll see you again next week on Tech Tuesday. Thank you.
Thanks, Abby.
All right.